Welcome to the MagiReco News. I'm your anchor, the Yellum, and I am Charges now, is what I would say if I actually had Charges units. But our top story today is Charges are actually really good now. Why? They introduced a new skill. So this is actually something that is only for the newest character that's about to be released in a week. But in a week or so, we're going to have a character that has a new skill. What is that new skill? That new skill is called Charge Conservation. Now there's a whole bunch of stuff in here, there's just a bunch of examples to tell you what it does, but I'm here to tell you guys what it does. Basically, Charge Conservation is a buff that while you have this buff, if you were to use up charge points, for example, if you were to use an Excel disc or a Blast disc while you're having charge points, while you have this buff, you're not using up your charge points. So if you have this buff and you have 3 Blast discs that you're about to use, while you have like +5 charge points, every single one of those Blast discs is going to have +5 charge points, and they're still going to stick around after the end of the turn. You don't lose them if you have this buff. Now, how do you get this buff? Well, there's a new character called Sister Momoko. Yeah, people knew that basically this was going to happen because she was so heavily featured in part 1 already, with Vampire Kanagi, who was giving her the suck. And not just her, many people's wallets were given the suck as well. But if you guys were thinking, man, Sister Momoko probably is not going to be that great, right? Well, she's probably the better of the two if you have a charge team. So if you're playing charge team, then this character is going to be the absolute mainstay character. You will want this character. This is the best charge character in the entire game in about a week or so. So if you're playing charge teams, you're going to have this character and it's going to be absolutely amazing, and it's actually going to be pretty good. That said, what does it actually do? So I was just telling you guys about this charge conservation buff and how do you get this charge conservation buff. Well, there's 2 ways of getting it. First off, Momoko right here, Sister Momoko. Some people are going to call her Nan-Momoko, some people even call her Nanoko. Get it? Because Nan-Momoko, Nanoko. Or Sister Momoko. And what she does is she can give it to people with her connect. So her connect right here, this charge and then a bunch of kanji is she. This right here is charge conservation. And if you connect to someone, they get charge conservation. Awesome. I know some people said, but it's Momoko, why does she not have 3 charge discs? Well, because now with charge conservation, you actually want to connect Blast discs onto someone else. Or Excel discs. And if she had 3 charge discs, that would be a lot harder to do. So she actually has Blast discs that she can now give away to other people with charge conservation so that they can blast really hard. It does a bunch of other stuff as well. I guess I can quickly tell you what it does, what she does apart from that. So her connect gives attack up, removes debuff, and also does charge conservation. Fine. Her Magia Open Exorcism Buster, apparently is what it's called, does the following. It does AoE Magia damage. It gives dark damage cut to all allies, so all allies will take reduced damage from dark damage. Okay, not something that I specifically asked for, or anyone specifically asked for, because it's not really that big of a deal, but it's there, sure. And also it gives blast up to the entire team. Wait a second, blast up to the entire team on their Magia? Is this trying to be Kazumi again? So yeah, I guess we have another Kazumi now, although she's also limited. So get up and get that Nan-Momoko, get Sister Momoko for all those cool effects. Also, we of course see 2 of her spirit enhancement nodes. The first one does the active. The active does the following. Charge up. Okay, it just gives charge damage up to self. But also, and this is the more important part, actually they're both important together, charge conservation to self. This is the second source of charge conservation, so Momoko can just give it to herself as her active. Those are the 2 sources of charge conservation. You can either have Sister Momoko connect to someone else or use the active for herself. This means that if you have her on your team, either other people can connect onto Momoko and Momoko just pops her active, and then she does a whole bunch of damage, which she'll be able to do really well because look at that attack stat. But also, if someone else is about to receive connects, you can connect onto them with Momoko, and then they'll be able to do big bursts. So if you have her on your team, either she bursts or she makes someone else bursts. It's good to have that sort of option, I guess. And that's really amazing. What does her other passive do? The passive that just says right there. Blast MP gain up. It's Blast Salutation. She gains MP on Blast discs. She only has 2. But I guess it's fine. That's actually not something special. I'm a lot more worried about the rest of her passives, because the rest of her passives are going to be a lot more important. Like, does she get charge disc damage up? Does she get blast disc damage up? Because if you're trying to burst with her, then you probably want to have a bunch of blast damage up. But if you want to actually get her connect up and get some charge discs out there, maybe you want some charge disc damage up, or more importantly, if you're using her on a charge team, you probably want charge count plus up, charge com or charge count plus up plus, whatever. You want that skill as well on her, probably with a +3. We'll have to see if that is a thing that she'll have. So yeah, she's literally the saint of charge. Isn't that amazing? Of course, there's also some memorial they're going to be having. By the way, I haven't said this before, but this is the gacha that's going to start in a week. So usually news posts come out about the gacha that is going to happen in like 2 or 3 days. This one comes out in a week, okay? So keep that in mind. We're going to have a week of Suck Kanagi, and then we're going to have Sister Momoko about to save all the charge discs out there with her blast disc as well. And we also have, of course, some memoria. What do those do? Small light in the corner of town. By the way, the backgrounds of a lot of these memoria have gotten really lazy recently. Like recently, the background of many memorias are just stock images, which is really weird. Anyway, so what does it do? It gives attack up and charge up. Active. Okay, that doesn't really matter. It's an active. Actives aren't that important. I mean, if you play her, you might want to have this. Like, if you play her, then of course you've rolled for her. And if you've rolled for her, you might have this, and then you might use it for her. Like, that's actually fine. And the passive, it's a 3-star passive. What can it possibly do? It has a 3 damage increase and damage cut. It's not that great. Anyway, now with all of that said about this, what does this mean now for the whole picture for charge, right? So, of course, by the way, there will be a second part of the event in like story-wise and like event-wise as well, but it doesn't say that anywhere here. It's just a gacha. Unless the story, the event is just gonna not have any changes to it, and it's just the gacha that changes and not the event. Not that we know anything about that yet, but point is, what does any of this mean for the entire charge picture? So, of course, now, let's say, for example, you want to play Chargers, you want to be Chargers. What do? First off, you will need this character. That's like the #1 thing. You will need this character. You will need Sister Momoko if you want to play Chargers to a level that rivals Excel and Blast. Like, we're now talking not about just Charge being a sort of team that is good. We're now talking right now about a Charge strategy that can be stronger, or is stronger, than competing Blast or Axel strategies, okay? That is what we are currently talking about, so keep that in mind. This is some high-tier stuff. That said, of course, you're gonna be dependent on what sort of situation you're gonna be in. For Kimochi, it kind of depends on what the kind of Kimochi is. If the Kimochi doesn't have a Magia damage cut, like the next one will have, then Axel strategies will be better for Kimochi. If you're talking about doing a single turn, like turn 1 burst, Blast is always going to be the best for like a turn 1 burst. So you're not going to encroach on any of these territories with charge. But let's just talk about a general playstyle that you might have using now this new charge stuff. So first of all, this character. You want to use this character? We don't know yet what her personal is. Most other charge-focused characters have something like Monopolized Draw or Charge Draw as their personal. It's possible she doesn't even have that, and she has something completely different, okay? So for now, I'm just not gonna worry about her personal. We're just gonna have her on the team. Who else do we need? Well, we're going to now have to choose. We're gonna end up with a 3-person team. Well, 4 with a support, unless one of those 3 that I'm about to mention you play from a support. Like, let's say, for example, you don't roll for Sister Momoko, and instead just hope that someone else always has Sister Momoko up on a support, which you probably shouldn't do. But we're gonna have a 3-person team. The first person, of course, Sister Momoko. The second person is a choice. You are now going to choose any charged gorilla out there, okay? And it must be a charged gorilla that has either charged draw or monopolized draw. Spoiler alert, they basically all have that. I think there might be 1 or 2 that don't have it, but almost everyone has that. So, my top choice would be Jun, because Jun is absolutely had a really awesome connect, really awesome connect. And if you get out her Magia, it's pretty awesome as well. So Jun is probably a top choice for your second character on that team. Of course, you have some Monopolized Draw on here. Who else can you pick if you don't have Jun? Because she's very recent. You can pick Tsukuyo. Tsukuyo is probably my #2 choice, which is probably going to be weird to some people, because people always went on about how bad Tsukuyo is, because she doesn't do anything. But the thing is, with charge combo, charge count plus up +3, and her personal being monopolized draw, and her stats actually being somewhat alright, somewhat decent, actually pretty decent stats, she can actually fit well into a charge team, and I think that actually makes it pretty good. So this would be another choice. Her Connect and Manga aren't as good as Jun's, but if you don't have Jun lying around, then this would be another choice as well. Keep in mind, you're going to be playing all of these characters with their personals, okay? Keep that in mind. Every single character, even the third choice that I'm about to mention later, they all fall into this. So we have Rico right here. She doesn't have SE just yet, but I guess I also should have mentioned this. They also have part of the announcement that Rico and Natsuki, for some reason, like Natsuki and Rico are both getting their spirit enhancement also in about a week. So Rico, depending on how good her spirit enhancement is, I'm going to make a video on that. She might also be another choice as well. She also has monopolized draw, of course, as her personal. It kind of depends on what her SE is. She must have charge combo, charge count plus charge combo, charge count up +3. She must have that, or else forget everything that I'm saying right now. But if she has that in her SE, she's another pick that you can use as well. Potentially, it's possible that she also, as an active, gains charge conservation. It's possible, but let's not worry about that. It's just hypothetical. We need to talk about that later. So this would be another one you could pick for a second choice, or another second choice that you could pick, but I probably would steer against this, is Momoko, is the other Momoko, of course, the regular Momoko. The reason why I would probably not pick this for your second character is, well, she does have charge draw, but it has a 13 turn cooldown, while the other ones all have 4 turns. All of these have 4 turn cooldowns, right? Which is pretty good, which is actually rather important. But this one, 13 turns. It's way too long. And that's probably why I wouldn't pick Momoko, but you could potentially use Momoko as part of this team as well. She would be doing well as well. So now we have Sister Momoko, we have the Charge Gorilla with their personal that allows them to keep drawing charge discs. Who is the third character gonna be? Final Tart. Specifically Final Tart, not any other Blast Gorilla. Specifically Final Tart, okay? Although you could probably use Nanaka as well, and you'll see why. Because why would you use either Final Tart or Nanaka? Boom, Blast Draw. This is the key. This is going to be the key to what makes this so goddamn amazing. So here's how you would play this team, okay? So this strategy would be very much about reacting. Playing very reacting. I might make an entire video about Charge, by the way, once all these changes are live and we can see it happening, but this is just ideas that I came up with. So I haven't heard about anyone else talk about this, but this is just a strategy that I personally came up with. So what you would probably do is every single turn. So first off, by the way, turn 1 you would probably use something like Jun, maybe not. Actually, it kind of depends. A lot of this now is kind of dependent on what happens. So let's say turn 1 you don't get good discs at all, you get terrible discs, and you could use your personal to draw the Chunky Girl's discs and then get a personal out with the charge combo to get a bunch of charge discs, okay? Or you get a personal Puella combo for anyone else on turn 1 anyway, you probably would use that. Maybe Sister Momoko has a personal Memoria that also draws her discs. I don't know any about that, but let's just ignore turn 1 for now, because turn 1 is probably the weirdest part about this entire strategy. But let's just go after turn 1, where let's say, for example, you start a turn, you have like 7 charges or whatever, and then it kind of always depends. Every single turn, you're going to look at your discs, you're going to see, can I use a charge conservation connect combo? Like, do I have Sister Momoko's connect up, and if I do, can I use it to cash out, basically? So you might want to cash out by seeing, oh, I have Sister Momoko's blast discs, she has connect up, I have 7 charge discs, 7 charge points. I'm going to use her connect on Final Tart and allow her to burst really hard. Hopefully Final Tart has the other blast discs as well. If not, you probably want to actually not use her charge disc, but her Excel disc. So you might have a combo like Sister Momoko connects blast disc to Final Tart, then she does an Excel disc and then another blast disc, right? Like that would be a really good combo. You don't want to use a charge disc in this because you're going to cashing out with Excel. That's something that you would do. By the way, instead of Final Tart, you could probably also play an Excel Gorilla that has Excel Draw. Now, in this hypothetical scenario, what happens if you don't draw what I just told you? Like, you don't get good draws that allow you to get this combo out. Let's say you have a dead hand. Guess what? First off, if you have a dead hand, you can always just keep charging more charge combos up by using Monopolized Draw if you haven't used it yet. Secondly, possibly if Sister Momoko has a personal to use that, you can use that as well. So you have hopefully 2 ways of drawing the discs that you need to keep charging. Or if you know that Sister Momoko's Connect is ready, you can use Blast Draw, which basically almost guarantees, not 100%, but it doesn't 100% guarantee that you get the Puella combo for Tard, but you don't need to. Point is, this combo will guarantee that you draw at least one of Momoko's blast discs. And this is actually kind of absurd just how perfectly it works out. If you have exactly the team that I told you, Sister Momoko, a Charged Gorilla, and Final Tard, and you use this, you are going to end up with at least one of Sister Momoko's blast discs and at least 2 of Final Tard's blast discs. And you know what that means? You can do a Blast Puella Connect onto Final Tard with probably like 10 or 20 charge points, and none of those are going to use up your charge points, and you're gonna hit for millions of damage. It's gonna be fucking absurd. So that's pretty fucking powerful. But also maybe you draw something different. Let's say, for example, you draw none of Sister Momoko's discs, but other characters have, or like one of Sister Momoko's discs, and the other 2 characters, like Final Tard and your Charged Gorilla, they both have Connect ready. Here's what you can do. You can have Sister Momoko activate her active to get charge conservation, and then have other characters connect their blast discs onto Sister Momoko, which is going to be easy with Final Tard because she has 3 of them. So everyone else can connect onto Momoko. She uses her active, and then you blast the shit out of your enemies with Momoko. You can do that as well. It's agnostic in that fact on who does the burst. It can either be Momoko, it can be Final Tard. You can pick and choose what you want. And that's basically a quick overview. It's been like 10 minutes. But I know a lot of people will ask me probably about charge strategies. So like I said, once this goes live in about a week and we've had a few days to test stuff out and see what people come up with, then probably we will find a good strategy. But that is at least a strategy that I just came up with on the fly on how you can play the new charge team and how it would be absolutely absurd. But to keep reiterating, this new charge strategy, whatever people will come up with, will probably very much to be dependent on what you draw, what your options are, and will require more brain than any of the other strategies. I know a lot of people will be really happy about this. Wait a second, this strategy will require brain. Yeah, because as I just told you, you should look at your discs, look at your personals, look at your connects, and you need to figure out, can I connect onto here with this personal and then draw these discs, reshuffle this, give this connect to that character, activate charge conservation, and then suddenly you're bursting for with three blast discs for millions of damage. Or you don't know how to do any of that and you throw away your best discs for nothing. That's gonna be the new charge, I think. But yeah, charge is good now. I don't have any charge characters. I literally don't have any charge characters. Recently I just looked from all my charge characters. I have a 1-slot Tsukuyo and a 1-slot Momoko, and it's all charge characters I have. So I'm not going to be playing this, but for everyone else out there who is interested in charge, your time has come, and Sister Momoko is the saint to save you. That was that. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, and I'll see you guys next time when, in like maybe 10 days or so, when I make a charge video. Yay!